What was supposed to be the next big thing, but completely flopped. I'm still very distraught we never got the modular phone revolution I was promised back in the early 2010s. Now it's wildly exciting to have a replaceable battery. My heart weeps. Those Motorola phones with different accessories you could clip to them was kind of the closest thing we got. There was a company trying for a while to make modular phone cases you could plug different shit into, but it didn't go anywhere either. Amazon's shopping buttons. They pushed really hard for those and I never saw the point. They originally announced those on April 1st. They said it wasn't an April Fool's joke, but I'm still skeptical. I saw plenty of social media posts from people saying, hey, this is a joke, but I kind of want it. I think Amazon saw those and took a shot at making it a real product. I bought one for toilet paper and put it in the cabinet where I keep spare rolls. You take the last roll out, you press the button. It actually kinda worked. Holy shit, I forgot those existed. Yeah, cabinets have been around for a long time. I'm surprised you forgot. 3D television/movies. I hate 3D because I have to wear 3D glasses while wearing normal glasses, and most of the time, it didn't even work and only gave me a headache. I had a 3D phone that took 3D pictures you didn't need glasses for, and that was pretty sweet. Not entirely relevant, but I liked the trend where everybody wanted the smallest cell phone possible. For 20 years cell phones got smaller and smaller, often being the main selling point of the phone. Then all of a sudden you could watch videos on your phone, and almost overnight the trend reversed to larger is better. Now I want to watch Zoolander. His phone was hilariously small. I love how in Zoolander 2 they were using iPads as phones. When the Windows Phone was unveiled, Microsoft held a genuine funeral procession for the iPhone. Steve Ballmer was the commencement speaker when I graduated with my MA in 2011. He literally had a part where he said, "I'm just going to take out my Windows Phone and bing this right now," with the bolded parts loudly emphasized. You could feel the collective cringe rippling through the audience. I knew a guy who worked in marketing at Microsoft, and he tried so hard to put Microsoft products into casual conversations. I don't know, let's bing it. I don't mind a long commute, I just fill up my Zune with audiobooks to listen to in the car. Bing it. Can someone bing something for me? He was the only person I ever heard say, squirt a song. It was a feature on some of the Zunes that shared audio files through a feature called squirting. Segway. Yes, this was mine. The hype leading up to it was intense. Like a year of promising something that would challenge how cities are built. Nope, lots of places just made them illegal on public pavements and highways. Yeah, that's the classic example these days. Only places I've seen them get some serious footing is in tourist destinations that require walking a lot. Like I see Segway tours fairly often where I live in DC. And they seem even more common in European tourist destinations. I've seen more cops on them more than anything. My friend who studies medicine had to install Second Life about 2 years ago for a class meeting. I don't get why they couldn't have used Skype, but okay. As a CS student, I wondered WTF Second Life was doing on all the lab PCs. I thought it was some kind of joke until people with PhDs started talking about how great of a collaboration tool it was. It wasn't. I remember meeting a guy at my state's library who was building a Second Life library for the state. Even then, my immediate creation was, oh, you're going to be the first one let go during an economic downturn. Google+. That was a lesson on how not to handle hype. There was so much hype around Google+, it was infectious. But they refused to open it up to everyone and maintained a very hardline, invite-only system. Even once hype had peaked and there was a notable decline, still they maintained a small invite-only system. I remember by the time they decided to open it up to everyone, the hype was well and truly dead and no one bothered with it. They should have cashed in when hype was high, but they, I assume, got greedy, thinking the hype would just infinitely increase and people wouldn't get bored waiting to get in. I think it was a much bigger problem when they started forcing it on people, and messing up YouTube in the process. You used to be able to have /follow small discussions on YouTube in ye olden days. Google Plus could have been a nice supplement to other social media, but wanted to dominate. If they had been more chill, they might have taken over much of Facebook's traffic, as that's mainly a shit show by now. That Quibi app that was supposed to be the next big thing in streaming BCU paid for short-form content, even though you could literally get the same thing on YouTube for free. Quibi was never a good idea. It's just one of those ideas that a bunch of rich people go into a room and convince themselves is a good idea. They didn't even watch videos on their phone. If they did, they might have understood no one was going to pay for what they were already getting on Instagram and TikTok for free. Dippin' Dots has been the ice cream of the future for a while now. You'd think that future would have come to pass by now. The future exists only at zoos and in airports. They sold a lot of technology around liquid nitrogen freezing to the pharmaceutical industry, plus the fake meat industry. So they're actually hanging on to the of the future part, just not so much to the ice cream part. I love the fact that the subsidiary in charge of those is actually just called Dippin' Dots Cryogenics LLC. The litany of film adaptations of young adult novels that happened in the wake of Hunger Games' success. Aside from Divergent, which eventually ran out of gas, and Maze Runner, all of them flopped and didn't get sequels. Specifically dystopian YA. I remember The Fault in Our Stars being huge the summer the movie came out. There were posters and school supplies with quotes from it, the "Okay? Okay" speech bubbles on just about every type of t-shirt/cup/button you can imagine, and the song Boom Clap seemed to be on the radio everywhere that year. That's the last YA movie I can remember being that huge, but I was also 21 when it came out, so I'm not exactly in that demographic anymore. I Know Love, Simon was a pretty big deal for years later too. I watched a YouTube video a while back that talked about how much of a dive that entire genre took. There were a few years where YA dystopians were extremely popular and then boom, gone. NFTs. I'm looking forward to the documentary that spells out exactly how much those celebrity promoters were getting. Plenty of videos on YouTube from people like CoffeeZilla diving into the entire scam of NFTs and who was involved. There are mentions of how much certain people were getting paid, with some tweets costing tens of thousands while other people promoting it were getting paid in the millions. 3D TVs. Heard a stat from one of the 3D TV manufacturer that the average number of pair of 3D glasses sold per 3D television was a number very much smaller than one that I think they were too embarrassed to actually tell everyone how tiny the attach rate was. Also, was it LG who made a TV a decade or so ago that had a standard RGB setup but added yellow as a marketing gimmick? They had commercials with George Takei and I saw them constantly for like 3 months. How has nobody posted about the Fire Phone? Whole teams of people were fired after that debacle. Oh dude, I worked for their Fire Phone tech support department. They gave us the phones to take home, get used to and try out before it launched. It had the most counterintuitive user interface of any phone. Some features were accessed by shimmying the phone left and right. The big selling feature was the Mayday button where live video tech support would pop up on your screen to take over and help. You could see us, but we couldn't see you. It took less than a week for customers to figure out how to show us tech support people all manner of strange porn and dicks. Their dicks, horse dicks, dead dicks. I saw so many dicks. Handheld gaming consoles and not called Game Boy during the Game Boy's reign. I remember the Game Gear being touted as the next big thing, because it was in color, as opposed to Game Boy's monochrome. Unfortunately, requiring 6 batteries that only lasted for a few hours quickly killed that dream. Minidisc. Minidisc just came over to the North American market too late. Compared to a Discman, it was amazing. I could record like 8 hours of MP3s onto a disc and a battery lasted for ages. Even MP3 players at that time sucked. But, flash memory advanced so quickly and the iPod came out, so minidisc was replaced.